What I see in front of me is a bunch of potential future lawyers, advocates, corporate lawyers, company secretaries, policy makers, attorneys, solicitors, dreamers, and whatnot. May it all come true and we all shine brighter than the sun. A very pleasant morning to our distinguished faculty members, legal scholars, delegates, and my fellow student companions. Welcome back to the main stage of our national seminar on Shaping the Future of Legal Education, Innovation, Practice, and Reforms. As we advance our dialogue on transforming the legal landscape, we arrive at the crown jewel of today's itinerary, the prestigious Ambedkar Memorial Lecture. When Dr.B.R. Ambedkar laid down our constitutional framework, he didn't view legal education merely as a career pathway to corporate firms, but as a breeding ground for social engineers who would fight systemic inequality. To ground our seminar in this radical philosophy, today's theme is Annihilation of Caste through Legal Education. To formally welcome this August gathering, I invite Ms. Ashwati Devi, Joint Convener of Bhagat Singh Study Circle, to deliver the welcome address. Ashwati, please.
Good morning, everyone. As students of law, we are taught that justice is not merely a legal principle, but a responsibility. While we encounter this idea in our classrooms, textbooks, and court judgments, it is through the lives and work of distinguished legal professionals that we truly understand its impact and the impact on its society. It is therefore my privilege and honor to welcome you all to the Dr. Ambedkar Memorial Law Lecture, a significant session of our national conference. Today, we are deeply honored to ask Mr. COLIN GONSALVES, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court of India and the founder of the Human Rights Law Network. Widely recognized as a pioneer in the field of public interest litigation in India, Mr. Gonsalves has dedicated his career to advancing the rights of marginalized and vulnerable communities. Through his work in human rights protection, labor law, and public interest litigation, he has demonstrated how the law can become a powerful instrument for social change. For us, inspiring legal professionals, his journey is a reminder, and the practice of law extends far beyond courtrooms. It is also about ensuring that justice remains accessible to those who need it the most. For the session of Dr. Ambedkar Memorial Law Lecture, I invite Mr. COLIN GONSALVES to this lecture, and I welcome you to this session, sir.
To guide us through this deeply critical discourse, we are incredibly honored to have amidst us a legendary titan of human rights litigation, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court of India, Dr. COLIN GONSALVES. Dr. COLIN GONSALVES is a civil engineering graduate from the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. However, while working on site, witnessing the raw realities of labor exploitation and structural oppression up close, his conscience rebelled. Realizing that the law was the ultimate weapon needed to empower the vulnerable, he stepped away from engineering and enrolled at a night law course from the Mumbai University. Remarkably, while still a student, he successfully litigated his very first case on behalf of 5,000 locked-out workers. In 1989, he co-founded the Human Rights Law Network, transforming it into India's largest and most influential public interest legal aid powerhouse, uniting hundreds of passionate lawyers at the grassroots level. For over 4 decades, Dr. Gonsalves has pioneered landmark, history-making public interest litigations in the Supreme Court. He was the legal mastermind behind the historic 2001 Right to Food case, which turned food security into a fundamental right and mandated the free midday meal scheme for millions of school children across India. He has fearlessly litigated against the state excesses, championed the rights of Dalit and indigenous communities, and dismantled structures of bonded labor. For his tireless, innovative use of the law to secure human rights for the marginalized, he was honored with the prestigious Right Livelihood Award, widely celebrated across the globe as the Alternative Nobel Prize in 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, when we discuss the annihilation of caste through legal education, we cannot rely on ivory tower academic theories. We need the raw, practical insight of an icon who has spent his entire existence pulling the law out of elite spaces and placing it squarely into the hands of the oppressed. His life's work perfectly embodies Baba Sahib's immortal call to educate, agitate, and organize. With immense respect, pride and privilege, I invite Senior Advocate Dr. Colin Gonsalves to take the podium and deliver the Ambedkar Memorial Lecture. Sir, the stage is yours.
Jai Bhim to all of you. Good morning and thank you for inviting me here today. I must tell you that my own legal education was very different from yours. I got my legal education while working in a trade union. I got my legal education by working in a slum dwellers organ, fighting against demolition of slums. I got my legal education by being in the thick of things all the time. So, I have a very different view on legal education. And if you want to annihilate caste, as the topic is today, by legal education, you must also get a very different view of what legal education is. If by legal education you mean go to a classroom, listen to the lecture, take down the notes, appear for your examination and pass, that is not legal education at all. Lectures is just one part, an important part, but just one part of legal education. But the main thing for young people, and that's the reason why I'm here today, the main thing is you must engage in struggle of the poor against the rich and the powerful from day one. Young though you may be, you must identify the areas where poor people are being oppressed, where poor people are being dominated, where torture is prevailing, where hunger and illiteracy is spreading, where slums are being demolished, where persons with disability are treated badly, and where untouchability in our wonderful country still exists and is growing. Don't stick to your classrooms alone. Go to your classrooms. But you must go to where the people are fighting. And you must participate in their struggle. And you will learn things that you will never forget all your lives. How did I start? I started by going to IIT quite by chance. My father and mother went abroad and I found myself, after graduating from school, I found I didn't know what to do. I know many of you young people plan your careers years in advance. Your parents will plan your career, where to go, abroad possibly, whatever. I had no idea what to do when I passed from school. So I went into all kinds of activism. Then I joined IIT. For 5 years I spent in IIT and I still didn't know what I want to do. I graduated from IIT and I still didn't know what to do. And then I was picked up by a very radical trade unionist from Bombay, Datta Samant. And believe it or not, my career in law began with my guru Datta Samant teaching us, never go to the law. Organize, come to the factory gate, raise slogans against the management, speak out, conduct a lightning strike, pressurize the management to give you good wages. So my first education in the law from my guru, he's my first guru in life, Datta Samant, is to forget the law and forget the courts. For one good reason then, that the courts were not functioning at all. And a worker would litigate in court for increased wages, and after 5 years of litigation would get a 200 rupee wage increase. Can you imagine? So I learned to fight. I learned to argue. I learned to be a rowdy. I was all that. I learned to be tough when they sent security guards after us after speaking at a meeting. at a meeting. But he taught me one thing, and you must all learn this. Your eyes must open. Like I was blind. Not blind, unsighted. Your eyes must open, and you must be able to see the whole world through the eyes of the working people, through the eyes of the poor. Once your eyes open, you will see suffering everywhere. You will see hunger everywhere. Poverty, illiteracy, desperation, sorrow. You'll see it in the eyes of women. You'll see it in the eyes of children. You'll see it in the eyes of ordinary people. And once your eyes open, that suffering goes into your heart. And you never get rid of it all your life. You look and you see, oh my God, how people in our country are suffering. And there are many of your friends who will never see suffering at all. For them, life is okay. My papa's got a good job. My mama's got a good job. I've got a lovely car. I've got a beautiful house. I'm going to go to America for my studies and so on. They see the world in a different way. But if you associate with the struggles of people, you will see the law. You will feel the law. You'll experience the law. You'll live the law. Because your eyes are open to the reality of India, which is a reality of suffering, terrible suffering. But you must be able to and willing to do it. I got one guru. I'm not a person who talks about gurus. I don't believe much in all this religion stuff and all that. But I recognize he's one person who opened my eyes to the reality of the world. Because while working in the union, I could see so much suffering, injustice. And what gets into your blood once you see injustice? Anger. Very good thing to have, anger. Not personal anger, but it's a very good thing to feel angry when you see injustice done to a person. Very good thing. I know people say you shouldn't get angry, you should be calm, you should be composed, you should be, very detached. Or rubbish. You know that you are sensitive to the world around you when you feel anger and bitterness. Not the negative anger, negative bitterness which destroys you, but the anger and bitterness which makes you resolve that I am going to do something to stop this injustice. Today is on annihilation of caste, but I'm going to look at annihilation of caste in a broad way. Because casteism and Dalit discrimination is not linked only to atrocity. It is not restricted to atrocities, the SC/ST Act, and so on. Everything relates to Dalit rights. You go to the prisons of Jharkhand and you will find the population of Dalits may be 20%. The persons in jail in Jharkhand, 50% Dalit. Look at the right to food case, hunger in this country. And you look at the persons getting the poorest of the poor ration cards. The Dalits may be 10%, 15%, 20%, and the EWS category will be huge. So caste affects everything, your education, your hunger, your food, everything. Your chance of getting into jail is all linked to the systems that we have in India. I want to do a little bit of a different session today. And I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the Supreme Court, which unfortunately you will never get to know. Because all the television programs have been bought over by industrialists. I don't want to name them. I take great joy in naming them, but I don't want to name them today. All. And the last to go was NDTV. Bought over by the industrialists. So earlier you could switch on to your channel and get at least one channel, one television channel that would tell you half the truth. That was good enough. Newspapers, all the newspapers across the country except for maybe 2 or 3 or 4, all of them bought over by industrialists, politicians and industrialists. So where do you as young people get to know your news from? Where will you get to know what is happening in the country? If all the avenues of learning through the media are closed. Nowhere. And so I want to tell you, I want to give you a little insight in the kind of terrible things happening in our legal system. Some of the good, but a lot of terrible things happening in the Supreme Court and in the judiciary. The most important thing today is that freedom of speech is under threat like never before. Freedom of speech, which all of you think you have a fundamental right, right? Has all but disappeared. Many of my friends are in jail for freedom of speech. I'll tell you about that in some detail. And you think as young students in a college that you have a right to say this and say that. But once you come out of college and you start exercising your free speech, you can't imagine what the police and the government is likely to do to you. Now you heard about that NCERT event, right? Where somebody wrote in an official brochure about judiciary and corruption in the judiciary. You read that, anybody? Anybody remembers? Just put your hands up if you remember. Yeah. So what did these three eminent people do? They were allocated the task of writing a chapter on judiciary and corruption in the judiciary. They wrote that chapter. The Chief Justice of India happened to see and read that, and he got furious. And he went on and on scolding them for writing that chapter. And he ordered that they be taken off the official panel of writers. Can you imagine? Condemned without being heard, isn't it? One of them, then of course, people in India began writing about it. And one of them wrote a beautiful article in the newspaper called "They've Thrown Us Under the Bus." Did any of you read that? All right. And he said this was not my writing alone. It was a collective of professors and erudite people who sat together and wrote a measured article. It wasn't a rabble-rousing article, it was a carefully drafted letter on corruption in the university. Corruption in the judiciary. So then, after a long time, slowly the Chief Justice began to go back, realize he'd made a mistake, and then there's some kind of in-between kind of solution, but they've lost their job. And they were erudite, good people in the teaching profession. That's the first example level. That is the story of freedom of speech in India. Now what's the big deal? Writing about corruption in judiciary, what's the big deal? Is there even a single Supreme Court judge who will not admit that yes, there is? Is there even a single Supreme Court judge who will say, yes, it is worrying. It's not just infinitesimal, It's very serious and it's worrying that there's corruption in the judiciary. So they wrote that. And I read the article, and I want you to go to NCERT website. It won't be there, but find out where the original article is. It's circulating widely. Find out. That article was so carefully written, beautifully written, in a measured language, that you can't possibly criticize them for being excessive or unreasonable and so on. But the reaction from the top judge in the country was so angry. And you come to think of it, why? What has caused this anger that we have a person removed from a panel without a hearing? Now the second is the cockroach case. Are you all following the cockroach on digital media? Come on, come on. Really? How many are following cockroach? It's the best thing to happen to Indian democracy. Come on. So one day, there were environmentalists doing cases, and then there were social activists doing cases and so on. And then the judge makes a very acerbic statement. All you uneducated, unemployed people coming to court, filing frivolous cases, cockroaches coming out of the system. Wow, what a thing to say. Of environmental activists? They're cockroaches? Then he mentioned right to information activists. We are cockroaches. Unemployed people, we are cockroaches. I mean, this is about the worst I've ever heard a judge speak in public for all 35 years of my practice. I must say, the people of India are not going to take these kind of things lying down, no. And for young people, it's a very important lesson. The cockroach lesson is the most important lesson. If you want legal education, it's the most important lesson. I may be illiterate, I may be unemployed, I may be poor, I may be a duffer, but I know the difference between right and wrong. Understood, Judge Sahab? I know the difference between right and wrong. And you have no business talking to me like this. The cockroach had 15 million hits. I don't watch much of digital media. My wife shows me all the songs and the qawwalis and, incredible outpouring. Artistic and political. Full of anger. Full of sadness that a man at that position should talk like this. Sadness. And a feeling of betrayal that we have so much faith in the judiciary. The people of India have so much faith in you. And you call us a cockroach, for God's sake. So I want you to go to the website and see the spread of this thing. And what does Government of India do? A good lesson on freedom of speech and expression. Banned. Now, can anyone stand up and tell me, why is it not illegal at all to have an acidic, satirical performance on cockroach? Is it illegal? Can anyone tell me, is it part of freedom of speech, or have you crossed the boundaries of freedom of speech and expression? Have you gone too far? Can anyone answer? Suppose you're the lawyer for the cockroach. What would you say? Anyone? Anyone? Come on. Don't be shy. Speak up. Anyone? I want advocate for the cockroach speaking up. My lord, banning is wrong because. Come on, who'll finish the sentence? Yeah, you? Come on. Yes. Correct. 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 Brilliant, isn't he? Everybody knew the answer. But you were all a little hesitant to speak. Now no time for hesitation, no? Time is running out. For good-minded people, people with good conscience, pure people like you are, time is running out if you hesitate. Because the other side is not hesitating. Those doing terror among the people, persecuting them, they're going full speed ahead. So no time for you to hesitate. Brilliantly said, sir. Absolutely brilliant. Now, let me ask you something now on freedom of speech. Suppose I were to say, and here we're linking it up with sedition. You know that the sedition section is very bad. I'll ask you about that a little later. So the court, Supreme Court, and I must say we are very proud of the present Chief Justice for doing that. He stayed sedition. Because sedition was being misused. Anyone saying anything? Sedition. These cockroach guys would all be under sedition. 100%. Stayed it. And now recently, the court, the very same court which stayed it, now says you can introduce it again if the accused person agrees. Why should an accused person agree? What kind of criminal law is this that if the accused person agrees? And how will a poor person agree or disagree? How will even a poor person know that he has an option? That, sir, you put sedition in my charge sheet, please delete, I don't agree. What kind of nonsense is this? Now sedition. Suppose I say, Khalistan Zindabad. Khalistan Zindabad means you are taking a part of India and breaking it away. No. Suppose I say Azadi. We want independence from India. How many of you would say that's attracts sedition? That's wrong, it's illegal. How many of you would say that? Put hands up. Azadi, independence from India. Tricky, no? What sedition requires? This is very important for you to know. Freedom of speech is almost absolute. Something you do or say against public order, and other kinds of things, that, okay. But apart from the very small level of restrictions, freedom of speech is completely free. Sedition gets attracted because the sedition section says, whosoever by words. And the Privy Council said, and our Supreme Court in Kedarnath said, words are not enough to turn it into a crime. Remember that proposition. Whatever words you use, no matter how harsh, unless of course it's against the Dalits or something like that, or is criminal defamation and so on. Words do not constitute a crime unless it is backed by armed insurrection. Understood? You have a great deal of laxity in speech. You can say almost anything. No hate speech. There are boundaries. Hate speech is a boundary. saying words against a Dalit in public is a boundary again. But otherwise you have freedom. So in the Khalistan Zindabad case, the Supreme Court said, all right, these are provocative words. I don't agree with what this man is saying. But he never used violence or organized people with using violence to press for a homeland for Khalistan. The Azadi case from Kashmir, he said Azadi. In a fervor, he said Azadi, gave a fiery speech. We should mobilize arms, we should take an army and go and get freedom for Kashmir. Supreme Court were full of very seasoned judges, very reasonable judges, very understanding and experienced people. They said, all right, Mr. Prosecutor, don't go overboard. After he made the fiery speech, was it only words or did he start shooting guns and so on? No, sir, there was no violence. Khalistan case, was it only words? No, sir, there was no violence. All right, acquitted. Understand? Now I'm telling you this because all across the country I find people in their minds having a self-imposed chain around their brain. Oh, you can't say this is sedition. Oh, you can't say that is law, that is wrong. As young people, you must know you have a right to speak fearlessly against the government. Suppose I say that all the ministers should be caught by their collar and thrown into the sea. Not illegal. Rangarajan's case of the Supreme Court. Let's make a little note. Rangarajan's case. Even speech hateful of the government is protected by our constitution. And a second judgment. Let these noxious branches grow. If freedom of speech is to survive, you must let the noxious branches grow. Horrible things. I don't agree. You're offending me. Me offending you is inconsequential. Freedom of speech covers us all. To speak fearlessly in this country against the government and so on. Then we have the Rohingya case where the Rohingyas were deported from India. You know that the Rohingyas were the victims of genocide in Myanmar and they came to India to save their lives. And again on the Rohingya issue there was some very unfortunate statements made about how they make tunnels and come to India and so on. The Myanmar army, whose leader has come to India now, you must have read in yesterday's newspaper, one of the most dreaded killers today, the head of that army, exterminated so many Rohingyas, came to India and we gave him a red carpet, come to India and do. So we were criticized for taking up the case of Rohingyas. And on trade unions, you must have heard that comment. When the union of domestic workers, servants so to speak at home, filed a case and the court said, you trade unionists are the reason why India is not progressing. India is held back because of trade unionism and so on. Anyway, awful stuff to say. Now I want to do two more examples from the Supreme Court. One is the hijab case. Did you have any hijab instances here in this state where students wearing hijab were asked to take off the hijab? You didn't have it at all here? All right. But that was a terrible thing across the country, where a particular political party said, all persons must have a uniform, all persons must dress uniformly, and you cannot wear a hijab. So young girls had the hijab taken off and they were asked to go back. across the country. Matter came before the Supreme Court. You must read these judgments. This is your legal education, contemporary legal education. It came before 2 judges of the Supreme Court. One judge said emphatically, the ban on hijabs is unconstitutional. And the second said the ban on hijabs is constitutional. So if you're having any discussion anywhere in your college and you have a moot court of sorts, take up the hijab issue and these 2 contrary views. And that is lying now in the Supreme Court. Fascinating case. And the last judgment I want to tell you about, contemporary judgments, is the marital rape judgment. Is marital rape rape? Can your husband rape you in law? You tell your husband, no, I don't want to have sex tonight. And your husband says, no, you must. And has sex with you forcefully. Can you take your husband to court? Is it a crime? Complicated, isn't it? How many say yes? How many say no? The husband is not included within the definition of rapist. How many say no? How many say yes? The husband is included, is it? Oh, wait, I'll ask it again. Husband is not included as a rapist. If he's married, he can go ahead and do what he wants. How many say go ahead and do what he wants is correct? Huh? As per law. 1 second. The law is saying this. Today's Indian law says if the husband rapes his wife, his lawfully wedded wife, forcefully says, I'll have sex, it's not a crime in India. Is that correct? That's correct. So the man gets off. So now listen guys, you have to answer clearly. So you put your hands up if you say a husband who forcibly has sex with his wife cannot be prosecuted. Put your hands up if you agree with that. For rape, yes. Okay. And how many say yes, he can? Can't get an answer. Can't get an answer. No, it's okay. That's fine. See, it's food for thought, right? My idea is to introduce you to something's happening, the kind of mistakes happening in the Supreme Court. So marital rape has been abolished across the world. But in India we continue with the old colonial law. Although it has nothing to do with colonialism because Britain has abolished marital rape. It goes back to a very old judgment of Lord Hale. And he says, now listen carefully, this is the judgment that has ruled India for 200, 300 years. When a man does marry a woman, she gives himself up to him, from which concurrence she cannot resile. Okay, got it? When you marry, your wife gives herself up to you. She becomes your property, in a sense. Property is my word. And that agreement to give up to you cannot be withdrawn. Deadly law, no? That's why marital rape is gone everywhere, including in England. But in India we still have it. Came before the Supreme Court. Now listen carefully. Because the question you must ask yourself as young people is not to have blind faith in judiciary. Not to have everything that the Supreme Court does is correct. Not at all. But to question and question. Simple thing like this. Your husband had forcible sex. Forcible sex is rape. The exception which says if you're the husband, you're not a rapist is wrong. Simple as that. Across the world, courts have held. Therefore, in India, we must set it aside. So we have again two judges. Like hijab. One said hijab removing is okay. Remove it, forcibly. One said no, they have a right to wear. Marital rape too. Husband is not a rapist, husband becomes a rapist. Simple, no? So this is what is your real legal education in the world of law. Follow what the Supreme Court is doing. Listen carefully to what is reported in the papers. Have a discussion among yourselves. Have fierce encounters among yourselves. Is the Supreme Court right? Is the Supreme Court wrong? Now I want to speak a little bit about caste. Although I'm told that caste is not a big issue in Kerala, but the recent data of the National Crime Records Bureau shows a worrying picture. I'll just read it out to you. Kerala is often projected as a progressive state, but the latest NCRB data shows a serious concern. In 2023, Kerala recorded 1,128 crimes against scheduled castes. More worrying is the low conviction rate of only 13.5 cases in SC cases, far below the national conviction rate of 32.4. Did you all know this? That atrocities against Dalits in a state like Kerala, which has a secular background and so on, even in Kerala the issue of crimes against Dalits is of increasing concern. But anyway, Rohit Vemula, who was he? Who was Rohit Vemula? Now guys, no hesitation now. Speak up, spontaneously speak up. Who was Rohit? Correct, committed suicide. And he recorded a long history of persecution and bullying. This persecution and bullying is going on right across the country. Suicides are going on right across the country. There is not an IIT in the country which doesn't have persecution and bullying of SC persons. And there is no remedy at all. It's just a point I want to flag as being an important point because you are now in a college. So that when you come across persecution and bullying, you don't turn the other way. It may not be happening in your college, I don't know. But if it happens, you must be a warrior to stop the bullying of students. Supreme Court set up a wonderful system of helplines, reporting by colleges. You must report to the central government. Then there are helplines, counseling centers. But that whole system has disintegrated, and it is no longer the interest of the judiciary that young students should be bullied in their colleges to such an extent that they take their lives. Did you follow the controversy over the UGC guideline? It was a guideline meant for the oppressed people, so students who belong to the oppressed community. It's a kind of a committee which will look at and monitor and report bullying of SC, ST people. Did any of you follow that development? You followed? Tell me, speak loud, others can hear you. Stand, they can see you. Other side of the spectrum means the upper caste. Yes. Yes, you got it right. Yeah. 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 How beautifully spoken. Give him a hand, guys. How beautifully spoken. See, you people are actually quite well educated in the digital world and the news coming out from there. So never feel that you know less than others. All you have to do is to go on to your, and look at the websites that are socially aware and conscious. And you can be very well educated in the news that never appears in the newspapers, isn't it? You got it from all the tweets and all that, isn't it? Thanks, guys. Thanks very much. So will there be a revolution in India, you think? This cockroach? Then? Ah, okay. Good. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you for speaking up. And you're right. So that committee was actually a pretty decent committee that would have the victims at the center of the committee, looking at who's being bullied, who's being persecuted. Supreme Court stayed. The first attempt to address bullying in universities, Supreme Court stayed. Now, even I may not know the reason for that stay, but the point I'm trying to make is there are things going on in society, in the judiciary, in front of us. We see it in the newspapers, fleeting glance, gone. But I want to impress on you that many of the things you read are very, very important, but they are not dealt with properly because of the ownership of these newspapers. You must think, as young people, you must think with a very sharp inquiry. Why did this happen? Why are people talking like this? Why are people acting like this? And so on. Now the SC/ST Act, and I'll just finish this part of my talk quickly, is totally dead. Prosecutions under the Act, totally gone. Police interest in prosecuting, almost zero. We are doing cases in Haryana of Dalit women who were raped. At one stage we were doing 150 cases. Haryana was the center of violence against Dalit women. You're a woman and you're Dalit, licensed to be touched, licensed to be molested. How many of you from Haryana? Anybody from Haryana? So we were working with the Haryana women lawyers and doing these cases. We filed 150 cases on behalf of the women, and then we learnt a bitter lesson. Bitter lesson. The moment charge sheets were filed against the men, we managed to do that. The whole village came to that person's house, and they came with the police. And they gave her one warning. Madam, आपको इस केस को आगे ले जाना है? You want to proceed? Tell us now. Otherwise, and if you say yes, तुम्हें केस करना है, you have to leave the village with your family today. Can you imagine? All 150 women signed कि हमें आगे नहीं जाना है. Because they would have to leave their village. Anyway, I'll go on to the next point quickly, but I want you to know that if any of you are interested in doing legal aid of a very robust kind in the country. You can be here, you can be anywhere. You can be in Kerala and we can guide you from Delhi, there's no problem at all. But in human rights work is the Ganga of litigation. People say no, commercial law is the mainstream, arbitration law is the mainstream, property rights is the mainstream, income tax matters and excise matters are the mainstream. All rubbish. The Ganga of litigation is human rights litigation. And if you turn out to be a human rights lawyer in this country, you will never have a shortage of work. You must know how to start. Criminal law, lakhs of people looking for criminal lawyers, labor lawyers, lakhs of people, women's lawyers, disability lawyers, some very fine disability lawyers in the country, and litigation going up. Dalit rights litigation, environmental litigation. Human rights work is huge. And as a young person, I want you to think of that as a career. Provided you can work very hard, you have to work doubly hard. And you have heart for this kind of work. To be a friend and companion of your client who is crying in front of you, can you talk to her properly? Can you deal with her properly? Can you do her case professionally? Lakhs of cases in the country, but no lawyer to do these cases. Now let me go to the next point, freedom of speech and the criminal justice system. Now you know that people have been in jail under UAPA. What is UAPA? Somebody say quickly. I don't need the actual thing, but what is it about? Terrorism. Huh? Come on, you may as well try again. What is it about, UAPA? Terrorism law. Okay. What is terrorism? You know that lots of people are in jail for terrorism. All my friends. So you know the company I keep. Sai Baba you heard of? Isn't it? The man on crutches. Main terrorist of India, the man on crutches. What is terrorism? What is terrorism? You remember Rajiv Gandhi assassination case where the Sri Lankan bombers went up to him in a meeting and detonated a bomb killing Rajiv Gandhi and 9 people around him. Were those people terrorists? Looks like it, isn't it? I'll answer it for you. Looks like it. So the Supreme Court looked at that case. Were these people terrorists? And the Supreme Court, which is a 3-judge bench decision binding, said there was no intention of these people to overawe the state. They had no enmity with the state. They had personal enmity with Rajiv Gandhi for sending the Indian army to Sri Lanka. Was it a heinous crime? Yes. Was it murder most foul? Yes. Did they get the life sentence? Yes. They got the death sentence under ordinary law, not terrorism law. Because it was not just an ordinary murder, it was a serious murder. But the Supreme Court said the essence of terrorism is overawing the state. Loosely said, overawing the government of India. It's not the same, but approximately. By use of arms. And they were not trying to overawe government of India. They had an enmity with Rajiv Gandhi personally. So they got off on the terrorism charge. Now look at my friends who are in jail. And I repeatedly say my friends, so that you know and understand the company I keep. Sai Baba, you know, you must have seen pictures of him, coming up. And many, many years ago when he was teaching in the university, and we had a public meeting, I remember Sai Baba would crawl from the back on his knees and his hands. He would crawl and come up to stage and sit on the chair. Sai Baba, powerful orator, wonderful speaker, humane person, fighting for justice. Speech is terrorism. Today, I told you sedition, whatever you say, if there's no violence, no guns, no AK-47, no bomb, no landmine, no terrorism. Mere speech is not terroristic. It may be defamatory, it may be other things. Mere speech is not terrorism. And Sai Baba got taken for what? His speeches about poor people, his speeches about Dalits, his speeches about working class people, his speeches about tribals. Wonderful man. Got put in jail. High Court, 2 judges stood firm. There are good people in every system, including our judiciary. Many good people. High Court said, I don't see anything relating to terrorism in the charges against Sai Baba. He's just giving speeches everywhere. Fiery speeches, maybe. Provocative speeches, yes. So, provocative is not part of freedom of speech. Fiery is not part of freedom of speech. And they acquitted him at the interim stage. Sai Baba was about to get out when the Supreme Court did something it never should have done. Never. At the gates of the jail, as he was getting out after getting bail from the High Court, the Supreme Court decided, you go back. Again, we want to hear your case fully. Never done. You're acquitted. After you're acquitted, you are not put back in jail because some appeal is pending. Let the appeal go on. If I lose the appeal, then I'll come back to jail. You don't take him from the gate of the jail, go back. Funny things happened. Funny things happen. I want you as young people to be aware of funny things. Your textbooks, okay. You study your textbooks, you listen to your teachers, but you must be aware of the funny things going on. So they sent it back again to High Court. High Court, you consider again. Fine judges. Fine judges. A judge would normally get a bit intimidated, no? My judgment is set aside, again is coming. Again the judges said there is nothing to show the crime of terrorism. And then there were some other points as well. Sai Baba got released after spending many years in jail. I remember going to jail and seeing him 2 or 3 times. To be in jail is a terrible, terrible thing. And to be disabled and in jail is unbelievably harsh. Unbelievably harsh. And the inmates in the jail sweetly helping Sai Baba with small, small things which he could not do as a disabled person. And he got a final acquittal order again. And then died a little while later. Didn't get a chance to go to his family. Didn't get a chance to be with his wonderful wife who stood by his side all this time. I would say that some of these so-called terrorists, first of all, they were not terrorists. He never used violence. It's not even the allegation against him in the charge sheet that he used violence. He instigated people to organize against the government. Of course, all human rights people do that. We give speeches and we tell them, stand up. What was that phrase Baba Sahib did? Organize, educated, organize, educate, agitate. I'll add one more for you all, litigate. That's what Baba Sahib said. Thank God Baba Sahib is not alive today. He would have been in some jail. 100% they would catch him and put him in some jail. So he went in. Stan Swami, the priest from Jharkhand. You know his story, anybody? Anybody remember his story? My dear friends, I want you to get out of your cocoon a little bit. Go to the places where history is in the making. I would do that. As a young lawyer, if I heard something is happening in Jharkhand, in Chhattisgarh, here, there, I would go immediately. Take 3-4 days off, bunk from my classes and go with my friends, and we can help you go. You want to see what's happening in Chhattisgarh? Deadly things. But you must see, legal education we talk of, no? It's not framing a legal policy, Legal education is how do you turn? Legal education is how does a lawyer turn a terrible anti-human rights situation into joy for the victim. That's legal education. There's a problem, there's suffering, there's crying, there's bulldozing of the house, there's torture. How do you approach that person? How do you do a case? How do you successfully win a case and make that person smile again? That is legal education. It's not okay, now we'll all 10 of us sit together and we'll draft some policy on legal. Not like that at all. It is the transforming of life. If you cut off this legal education policy, that language, and you use the language, how can a young lawyer transform the lives of a large number of people around her? And I'm saying her because I notice a lot of women here, which is a very positive sign. And I beg forgiveness for all the men who are present, but they have larger hearts, and they are sturdier, and they are genuine, and they are compassionate, and they are empathetic. Something we men can learn from the women. As young women, you can change the lives of people around you. We'll give you a little bit of help. A little bit of help and encouragement. We'll introduce you to people who have done this work, like role models for you. But the rest of the work is yours, and it is hard work with good results. So that when you're 70 years old and at home and you have retired, you will look back at your life and say, I have had a satisfying life. Not only was I satisfied with what I did, but all the people around me, I can see smiles on their faces because of the work that I did. Don't gauge your success in terms of whether you got a Volkswagen or a, latest model washing machine and all that. Forget all that. The human soul is a restless soul. You will know if you want to do human rights because your soul is restless. On some point or the other, it's restless. If you're a maybe disabled person, you will know when you see the conditions. If you're a minority, you will definitely know because of the oppression the minorities face. The oppression of Muslims and others is tangible, all the time going on. You will know. So they automatically know. If you're a tribal in Chhattisgarh, you know they're coming to take your land and convert it into a mine. You know. If you're a Dalit, you know. But if you're not from the oppressed classes, if you're from the upper caste and upper classes, it becomes more difficult. Like me. Because you have to break with your family background and understand the suffering of people. For me, it happened because I ran away from home. I ran away from home, plus my parents went abroad. I was left free to do what I want, and I ran away and went to the trade union movement. So I learned something. So please take this as a little welcome mat I'm turning out for you. That if you want to go down the path tentatively, slowly, carefully, cautiously, we can show you the first steps, how they are to be taken. Now look what happened to all my friends. What did the government say? What did this great minister who constantly attacking, what is the phrase? Urban Naxals, urban terrorists. Now I'm giving you the story of the urban terrorists, urban Naxals. You'll hear it in the papers. Make your ears prick up. Who on earth is an urban Naxal? Who are these guys? What are they doing? Now I'll tell you. Vernon, urban Naxal. For what? Criticizing. No gun, no weapon at all. All my friends. No act of violence. Speech. Vernon, see what the court ultimately said. No prima facie case on terrorism. Shoma Sen. Again, no weapon, no violence. No prima facie case on terrorism. Mahesh Raut from Maharashtra. No prima facie case on terrorism. Anand Tel Tumbre. Prosecution case does not inspire confidence. Sai Baba died in jail. Judgment came before he died. No prima facie case. Stan Swami died in jail. The priest from Jharkhand. Understand what is happening. Those who speak, you have nothing against them. You have nothing. You can't say we caught him with a gun, we caught him with a speech. Stan Swami needed a sipper. He was suffering from that, what is it called? When your hand trembles. Parkinson's. He said, "Sir, Mr. Superintendent, give me a sipper. I can't hold my glass. Give me a sipper." Denied. Supreme Court denied. Died in jail. Died in jail. Look at the other side now. Recently, maybe hardly about within this month, a case came of Anurag Thakur, who's a minister in the government. During the Delhi riots, he was caught on video making a tape, making a slogan. देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो सालों को. The traitors of India killed them. And then the Delhi riots happened and they got killed. The Muslims in the area got killed. Case came before the Supreme Court recently, 3 weeks ago. Somebody said, "Sir, this is hate speech." Hate speech is quite a serious crime. And just for your knowledge, what you have to do in hate speech is, you just need the video. You've got him saying things like this, no, kill this person, kill that, do this. Desh ke gadharon ko goli maro saalon ko. Supreme Court said, not a crime. Not a hate crime. Can you imagine? Is that right or wrong? Can you say desh ke gadharon ko? Okay. Now I'm coming to the end. I'm dealing with certain important constitutional issues that the Supreme Court has taken up. Did you see Justice Nagaratna's judgment on abortion rights? Has anyone read that? Come on, you read it? Anyone read Justice Nagaratna's judgment? Guys, you must start reading. No. Keep in touch. I'll give you some of the... Does a woman have a right to abort? Okay, now let's do some basic things. Is abortion by a woman immoral? Put your hands up, those who think it's immoral. Okay. Put your hands up, those who think it's not immoral. It's not immoral, not illegal. Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, who among those who put up their hands believe that it is not immoral, it's not illegal, it's valid to do? Why is it valid? Anyone? Why is it valid? Anyone who, from those who put their hands up? Speak up, stand up and speak out loudly. Nicely said, no? I congratulate you, man. Guys, learn to speak up. Even if you're wrong, no problem if you're wrong, but not speaking is a bigger crime. Must speak up. Sometimes what you do spontaneously is very important. Then you get the courage to be spontaneous. Anybody else wants to add a different point of view? I'll take him first. Yeah, you. Correct. No. First of all, woman has a right over her body, he says. That right includes the right to abort. You agree or disagree? You agree. Now you're talking about something else then. No, these are different periods of time. One is the fetus.
Yes.
And the woman is taking a decision, I'm going to abort. Nagaratna's judgment you must read. Nagaratna. She has absolute right over her body. The fetus has no existence outside the woman's body. The moment the fetus separates from the body, the fetus becomes a person with constitutional rights. As long as the fetus is inside the body, it is the woman's choice. You may not like it. You may disagree with it. Okay, give the... I'm happy with that response. It is a woman's right. But I'm telling you, it's not as simple as it sounds now. What kind of ups and downs we've had. And there have been cases where the courts have said, rights of the unborn child. Get it? So courts have to overcome this hurdle. And they overcame it by saying the fetus is not a child. The fetus is the mother, part of the mother's body. And constitutional rights you will get, Article 21, the right to life, once the fetus separates. Once the child is born, no right to kill. But as long as you are part of the body, that abortion will take place. It's a difficult decision for most societies. And it's a hard decision. But it is easier for women. Because they understand what it means to carry a fetus. And they understand the reasons why they can't, which men find it very difficult to understand because they're looking at it differently. They know why they just can't manage, and so they go for abortions. It's a complicated issue, and I suspect many of you will harbor all kinds of feelings. Okay, next. So we get out of this, or anyone wants to make a comment on the abortion rights? Transgender rights. Supreme Court gave lovely judgment. Till today, the understanding that a transgender is a state of mind. It is body, but it's also how you think, how you feel. It's your sexuality. So transgenders didn't have to go before a medical board and take off his or her clothes and get medically examined whether you're transgender or not. That was the crux of the judgment. A transgender not required to go through a humiliating, medical examination. No, this person is. It's not a medical thing. It's not a physical thing. It's a question of mind. Until today, if you look at all the kind of proposals coming up by government, it's all related to physical examination of the transgender. It's the way a person thinks. As male, female, whatever. It's how you think, how you react, how you organically feel. That's the transgender type. Now the second last or so. The right to marry. What time is it? 12:45. 12:39. Okay. I'll finish now. Did you read Justice Chandrachud's judgment on the right to marry, gay marriages? Did anyone read that? You read it? Tell them all. Loud. Yeah, just tell them what that bench of the court said on gay marriages. Is there a right to marriage? Yeah, nicely. Just give her the mic. She's speaking nicely.
Actually, they have acknowledged the idea that yes, homosexual people do have a right to marry, and we have to appreciate that concept and we have to go forward to that. But right now, the system is not capable of doing that because of the personal laws we have and the contradictions we have within that. And there can be some kind of changes in the statutory words we have, but that's not the ultimate change we need. And therefore, that was left for a parliamentary discussion, and only Parliament can change that.
Yeah, now tell me. Good judgment or awful judgment?
Sir, I think that's a practical judgment.
Oh.
Can I hand over the mic, sir, or is there any more questions?
Ask her if anybody wants to question you. Anyone wants to question her? She says basically it's okay judgment, okay. Now I'm going to disagree with her, but I want to see if anyone wants to disagree. Stand up and speak, please. And just turn towards them. Turn towards them.
It's an awful judgment. Just because I think marriage is my personal thing. Marriage is my personal thing. And I have, and it should be considered under the Article 20 that, right to live. Right to live dignitily. So I think, say we have nothing to do, but we have to hand over to legislative is, I think, is not a good for a changing or a good judiciary to have a judgment like that. And not only that, something like Uniform Civil Code, which is applied today before the Assam and that's before. That's also come in the same way because marriage was a civil contract which was as seen in India. But these 3 states who applied this Uniform Civil Code actually converted a live-in relationship into a criminal court. Because if you are in a live-in relationship, you mandatorily have to register it. I am going to live in relationship because I don't have to, I don't want to actually register it. So you are again mandatorily putting me into a institutional registration and mandating me, and if I am not obeying that, I am not bound to that, I am actually going against it, you are putting me into jail just because that I am not ready to share my my relationship. So I think that was the one of the awful thing that had happened in Indian judiciary, that gays are not able to marry. And I personally think the marriage registration is the only problem of this system, because people unless the people have any dispute or any problem in between them, they don't have to go to, or this registration has nothing to do with. Only state has to enter into a relationship, whether it is marriage or living relationship, if there is a dispute between the partners. And so to regularize or legalize or make it into a system, you have to, the government has to do the marriage registration. That's not the people who mandatory do all these things. That's what I think. So I personally believe that Chandrachud or any regulatory or any system has to come down and make people make people register their marriage, or and I don't support the registration of living relationship, because living relationship, the concept is against that. So thank you.
So wasn't he brilliant? Wasn't he brilliant? Give him a big hand. So, yeah, no, first you make the point, Achi, you want to rebut him on... Yeah, come on. Go ahead. Yes, of course.
Sir, I think you were mentioning about the limitations the Indian judiciary has, and we really don't trust them when it comes to some matters, right? That's what you have also said. So in that context, I don't really fantasize the idea of giving judiciary the power to legislate, actually. We have separation of power in this country, and we can't give the power of legislation, I mean the power to legislate on matters which is expressly given to Parliament by our constitution, which I completely believe. We can transfer it to judiciary. I don't fantasize the idea of giving judiciary that unlimited power. I mean, that's so arbitrary, sir. How can some people in the judiciary decide what's needed for the country? It should be representative.
Correct. You're absolutely right. Hang on a second. Okay, yeah, you go ahead.
You know what? Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The judiciary is already performing legislative functions.
Yes.
Let's take the instance of the NCRT case. Recently, what did the judiciary essentially do? They did legislative functions. I don't need to speak about it elaborately, because yesterday it was an elaborate topic of discussion in the sessions. So, it's not a fantasy. It's rather a reality, I guess.
Yes. Anybody else? This topic seems to have stirred some strong feelings among you.
Yes,
Anybody
because,
else?
sir, can I briefly mention what happened?
Yes, please.
One of my immediate seniors, I'm in my 4th year, he was in his 5th year. He has a Substack page. He had written a Substack titled Supreme Court Has No Spine, technically. He's titled it and he has elaborately written on this. I think it should have reached Delhi by long back. Now, the problem was the Substack became viral and it reached a few people in the judiciary, and they got offended and they made calls to my institutional affiliation asking them to ensure that the post is taken down.
How sad, how sad.
And he was given, our administration was forced to probably send mails to him to request him to take down that post, but he stood firm, saying, see, I just perform my basic functions of free press.
Correct.
And academia. That's a basic function. I have just written something critical which was on the face wrong. Now he had gone through all this. Then our admin took a back step, saying we just requested, but it was a forced,
Correct.
there was some force applied on him. But he stood firm. We also supported him.
Correct.
We stood with him.
Very good.
And I am also here for this conference because a month later there was certain remarks made by our institutional head during the class representatives meeting that was so sexist in nature, allegedly, that we had to go against the whole admin for one time. For the first time, I believe, in all my 4 years, I have seen our whole student community come against the admin together for a common cause. I have never seen that. But again, the admin played some tactics, and as a consequence, when this conference was announced, we were protesting. Now I made a paper out of that very issue, and I'm going to present it in some time.
Congratulations, everybody. But one question remains. Do gays have a right to marry? And what did the judgment say? The judgment gives flowery language. This is you must understand about judgments, because you read judgments, then you read it out in your class, then you'll quote it somewhere, and we'll feel so happy that we've quoted a judgment. Read the judgment carefully. And one way of doing things, I would say it's a way of misleading people. Flowers everywhere. And a conclusion. There is no right to marry of same-sex couples in India. And I would say, you cut off the rest. We don't want to hear all that nonsense. You are concluding that you have no right to marry. Now, what did it hinge on? No legislation business. Person. 2 persons can marry. And persons mean, in normal discourse, persons of different sexes. Now, all you have to do is say this is unconstitutional to define it. Persons can very well mean persons of the same sex. What's the problem? South Africa and 8 other countries did it. The South African judgment on gay marriages is a brilliant judgment. And the Indian Supreme Court got a chance to legitimize gay marriage. What's the problem? What difficulty? What financial burden? Nothing. Instead of marrying a man and wife, you'll marry a man and man. What's the problem? And India lost that chance because some of our best judges, some of our judges who have the finest minds, gave a judgment that you don't have a right to marry, which for the community, the LGBTQI whatever community, it was the biggest blow to them by the Supreme Court of India. They lost faith in the Supreme Court because of that judgment. Okay, now one last thing. You know our previous Vice President, what was his name? Nankar, right? Vice President Nankar, no? You know what, he was a senior lawyer and then they made him a Vice President. He had the habit of saying, I want you to understand what lies behind this. He said, Parliament is supreme. Is that correct? Who said no? No, not allowed. Somebody else. Sorry. You're a lawyer? You're not a lawyer, are you? You're better than most lawyers. Okay. What is wrong? Is he right? He's saying no, Parliament is not supreme. Say, somebody had some. Say quickly, we're running out of time. Is Parliament supreme? Yes or no? No. Who is supreme? The Constitution is supreme. Right. So we are a country governed by the rule of law, which is the rule of the Constitution. Parliament can make a law. Law can be unconstitutional. Who will decide? The courts. So it's supremacy of the Constitution, not the supremacy of Parliament. Right? Countries with Constitution universally have this principle. Who's trying to change that? Dankar represents a particular political orientation, and the dominant view in that political orientation is that we need to amend the Constitution to make the decisions of Parliament incapable of being challenged in court. Can you imagine a bigger deterioration, a bigger surrender to majority rule? Parliament says something, the minister says something, the executive says something, I've won the election, what I say becomes the law. Can you accept that? Is that how it works in India? Can anyone answer? You've given an answer. I want to quickly wrap up. Can anyone answer? When Parliament makes a law, can that law be set aside? Suppose the whole of Parliament votes to make a law. Can that be set aside by a bench of Supreme Court? Yes or no? Yes. Because the Supreme Court is the guardian of the Constitution, not Parliament. Parliament is the guardian of all the interests that elected its members to Parliament. So even if the entire majority, 99% say this, Parliament can say, no, my duty is to protect the Constitution, minority rights, the rights of every person, even though, sir, you may have a majority of people. Now Dankar says this. We want a system, we want an amendment where the majority of Parliament votes, that cannot be challenged in any court of law. Which other country is saying this? There's one country saying it. In the papers, all the agitation of the people of that country against this. Which country said this? Which person? Naturally, Israel. Which person? Netanyahu. Netanyahu says, when my parliament votes and says something, we are going to amend the constitution to prevent the court from scrutinizing an act of parliament. Netanyahu. If any of you go back and do a little search on Israel and the agitation against the government, tens of thousands of people, can you imagine how important it was to the ordinary citizens of Israel? Tens of thousands of people came on the streets. We will not allow you to emasculate the Supreme Court. We will not allow you to take away its powers to review what the government is doing, no matter what your majority is. Because the rule of the Constitution is not majority rule. It may be. It may not be. Majority rule may be draconian. And we have to look after the Constitution and so on. One last point and then I stop. Thank you very much, ma'am. I've really intruded on the time. And then, of course, if there are any time for questions. You all have noticed the developments taking place in Nepal. You've noticed the developments that have taken place in Bangladesh. And also the developments in Sri Lanka. This is a time of young people speaking up. This is a time where ordinary people will do things and say things that they've never said before. Because it's a period of awakening. It's a period of repression, terrible repression. It's a period of fear spreading, and it's a period of awakening of the soul. And young people are going by that awakening of the soul. It's a spiritual thing, it's inside you, irrespective of your religion. It's tucked away somewhere in your body, and it's a magical thing. And we who are Indians, we generally understand the power of spirituality. And that power of spirituality can never be crushed. No matter how severe the repression, no matter how afraid you are, that spirit to do good against evil is an unbreakable strength within all of you. I'm saying this only to end by saying, have confidence in yourself. If you are old, then maybe, you're tired and you've got problems and health problems, and you've given up your optimism. But if you're young, harbor that spirit. Don't doubt it. That you're going to get me into trouble, spirit. Don't keep on prodding me in this direction. You're going to get me into trouble. And your parents will tell you, no, don't do it. Your boyfriends will tell you, no, don't. Your closest friends, no, don't do this. Don't be silly. You have such a prosperous career. Listen to the spirit inside you. It is the only thing of value that you have. And if it takes you on a path where everything is so dark and there's no great leader to guide you, there's nobody to tell you the way forward, listen to your spirit. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll do very deadly things or drastic things. No. But your spirit will tell you how to differentiate right from wrong. You call it the conscience maybe. I call it the spirit inside us. Indestructible spirit. No tyrannical force, no government can break that. Nobody can break it. That spirit may hide for a while inside your body, but it will assert itself. So go forth into the world, young people, with courage and confidence. Certainty. Because if you come together and you're united, your force of doing good, just that, we want to do good. We don't want to hurt anybody. We don't want to drop anybody. We don't want to sideline anybody. We want to do good to the people of India and to your country. That, in last view, is the way forward for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that deeply profound, thought-provoking and revolutionary address. Your words on Jai Bhim, freedom of speech, criminal justice and constitutional supremacy have given a powerful reminder of our responsibilities as future custodians of the law. Before we conclude today's program, I would like to take a moment to speak about an initiative that is particularly meaningful for us as students of law. One of the most remarkable developments in Indian jurisprudence has been the evolution of public interest litigation. PIL transformed the idea of access to justice by enabling the courts to address the concerns of those who are often unable to approach the legal system themselves. It reaffirmed the belief that law is not merely a mechanism for resolving disputes, but also a powerful tool for advancing justice and protecting the rights of the vulnerable. Today's session has been especially meaningful because we had the privilege of listening to Mr. Colin Gonsalves, whose work stands as a testament for the transformative potential of public interest litigation. Through decades of dedicated advocacy, he has demonstrated how the law can be used to uphold constitutional values and bring meaningful change to the lives of ordinary people. For students like us, his journey serves as a powerful reminder of the responsibility that comes with legal education and practice. Inspired by these ideals, the Bhagat Singh Study Circle of Government Law College Ernakulam is proud to launch a PIL Collective, a student-driven platform that seeks to encourage engagement with public interest law, constitutional values, legal research, and issues of social justice. As part of this initiative, the Bhagat Singh Study Circle is also launching an intra-college PIL drafting competition, providing students with an opportunity to develop practical legal drafting skills while engaging with contemporary social and constitutional issues. It is particularly fitting that this collective is being inaugurated in the presence of Mr. Colin Gonsalves, whose work reflects the very spirit of public interest litigation that has shaped modern Indian jurisprudence. I now invite Mr. Colin Gonsalves, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court of India and founder of the Human Rights Law Network, to formally inaugurate the PIL Collective. Sir. We are honored to announce that this initiative shall be known as the V.R. Krishna Iyer PIL Collective, in memory of Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer, one of India's most celebrated jurists and a pioneering force in the development of public interest litigation in India. Along with Justice P.N. Bhagwati, he played a transformative role in making justice more accessible by enabling public-spirited individuals and organizations to approach the courts on behalf of those who couldn't do themselves. His commitment to social justice, human dignity, and constitutional values continues to inspire generations of lawyers, judges, and law students. With this inauguration, we mark the beginning of a new academic initiative within our college. We hope that the V.R. Krishna Iyer PIL Collective will inspire students to engage more deeply with questions of justice, rights, and social responsibility, and encourage them to see the law as a tool for meaningful social change. Thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. Bindumol BC, Principal in Charge of Government Law College Ernakulam, to present the memento to Mr. Colin Gonsalves as a token of gratitude from Government Law College Ernakulam. As the session draws to a close, it is time to express our profound gratitude to everyone who made it possible. To deliver the official vote of thanks, I invite Mr. Akash Evi, the convener of Bhagat Singh Study Circle, to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion of the Dr.B.R. Ambedkar Memorial Lecture held as part of the National Conference on the Future of Legal Education, Innovation, Practice and Reforms. At the outset, I extend our sincere gratitude to Senior Advocate Colin Gonsalves for delivering an enlightening lecture on the annihilation of caste through legal education. Sir, your address reminded us that legal education cannot remain confined to classrooms, statutes and courtrooms. It must also serve as a powerful instrument for social transformation by engaging with Dr. Ambedkar's vision of equality and justice. You challenge us to reflect on the role of law and legal institution in dismantling structure of exclusion and discrimination. Your words will continue to inspire students and young legal professionals to view the law not merely as a profession, but as a means of advancing constitutional values. I would also like to express our beloved gratitude to Nsri Ma'am, our beloved faculty member, and her constant encouragement and guidance and support in making the program possible. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to Bindubal Ma'am, our principal in charge, for her support and encouragement in making this program possible. I also express my sincere thanks to all distinguished guest faculty, members, students, and everyone who joined us for this session, whose presence and participation made this event meaningful and engaging. This lecture was jointly organized by the College Union, Law Journal Club, and Bhagat Singh Study Circle. Government Law College Ernakulam has long been a space where legal scholarship, political thought, and questions of social justice are actively debated and pursued. It is therefore fitting that we gather here to reflect upon one of the most enduring challenges to democracy and equality in our society. As we conclude, may the legal acumen of Dr.B.R. Ambedkar and political clarity of Bhagat Singh continue to guide us in these challenging times, encouraging us to build a legal culture that is more inclusive, democratic, and committed to justice. Once again, I extend my deepest gratitude to Senior Advocate Colin Gonsalves and Sri Ma'am, Bindubal Ma'am, and to everyone present here. Jai Bhim, Jai Bhagat Singh. Thank you.
Thank you, Akash. With this, we conclude this session. The house is adjourned for lunch break. All the participants may kindly note that exactly at 1:30 p.m. we will be resuming the paper presentation session, and after that we will have the panel discussion. Thank you.